Ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to open up the Orange City Council meeting dated the 4th of July 2023. Welcome everybody here today. We'll do the first one, which is the introduction. In the event of an emergency, the building may be evacuated. You'll be required to vacate the building by the rear entrance and gather at the breezeway between the library and art gallery buildings. This is a council designated emergency muster point. Under no circumstances is anyone permitted to re-enter the building until all clear has been given and the area deemed safe by authorised personnel. In the event of an evacuation, a member of council staff will assist any member of the public with a disability to vacate the building. 1.1, apologies. Mark, if there's any apologies. No apologies. Yes, I was about to say we do have an apologies from the mayor. I'll wait for that there, but yeah. So
Move apologies, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, and seconded. Thank you very much. All agreed. That's all. Yep. Thank you. Okay. 1.2, live streaming and recording. This council meeting is being live streamed and recorded. By speaking at the council meeting, you agree to be live streamed and recorded. Please ensure that if and when you speak at this council meeting that you ensure you are respectful to others and appropriate language at all time. Orange City Council accepts no liability for any defamation or offensive remarks or gestures that made during the course of the council meeting. A recording of this council meeting will be made for administrative purposes. I will move on to 1.3, acknowledgement of country. I wish to acknowledge the Rotary people who are the traditional custodians of the land, and I would like to pay my respect to elders past, present, and also future, and extend that acknowledgement to any other Indigenous members that are here at the time. 1.4, we'll move on to 1.4 with the declaration of conflict of interest. Wonderful. We'll go with Councillor Kinghorn first. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to declare a pecuniary interest in Planning and Development Committee items 2.2, 2.3 and 2.4. My husband's environmental consultancy has done work for all of these people.
Thank you. We'll go with Councillor Jack Emmons, please.
Mr. Chair, I'll declare an interest in item 5.2 of the general paper. As I'm a member of the Waratah Sports Club, I'll even not vote. And item 6.2 of the closed agenda, as one of the people listed as a customer of my business, I'll even not vote.
And Councillor Donnell, Mike Donnell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Look, I've just got a non-significant, non-pecuniary interest in a finance policy committee item 2.1.6. It's non-significant, non-pecuniary, so I'll stay in.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Just with regards to item 5.2, waiver of fees, Orange City Rugby Club. Not sure whether this is deemed to be a conflict of interest. It certainly would be non-significant. However, when contesting the seat of origin in this year's state election, former coalition government provided $850,000 under the Stronger Country Communities Fund. I don't think that decision to do so will affect my judgment in voting on this issue tonight, and I intend on staying in the room and voting.
Thank you. Councillor Stevenson, please.
Yeah, and I'd just like to declare a significant non-pecuniary interest in 2.4 of the planning. I was a senior doctor at the Aboriginal Medical Service for many years and still have family and personal links there. So I'll excuse myself from debate and voting.
Wonderful. Okay. We're just going to go on to item that apparently had been sort of put on the sideline for a bit, and it's good news. Some of the good news that have been happening. We've got 2 items. We've got 3 items altogether that is noted. So council were thanked by the Year 11 legal studies. That was at the study students from the Kinross, the last meeting. The students found it fascinating and informative and helped some of the contents see some of the contents they are learning in class in action. They were appreciative of how council and members of the public made their students feel and welcomed and such high valuable experience. The second item is Rex Airlines was recently honoured with a prestigious title of Best Regional Airlines, Australia and Pacific at the 2003 World Airline Award. Rex Airlines emphasised the significance of this recognition for the airline's dedicated staff. Executive Chairperson Lim Kim Hee said despite the challenges of COVID, Rex has shown resilience and exceptional performance in its recovery efforts. To also acknowledge, and this comes from the First Nation people here for Orange, the Wiradjuri people, that as of last Tuesday, the Gunnabulla Action Group, led by Uncle Neil Ingram, the dual naming has been approved. And they send a warm thank you to, Uncle Neil sends a warm thank you to Council for their support in relation to that. And they just wish to let everybody know that it's now formally that, and signs will now begin to take place over the next couple of months in relation to that.
The point of order, Mr.
Yes.
Mr. Chair. So how do we refer to it now, as Gunnabulla Mount Canobolas or Canobolas Gunnabulla?
It'll be Canobolas Gunnabulla as the traditional, so Canobolas will always be leading and then Gunnabulla afterwards, and then noted that this is the traditional name of the spiritual story.
Very much.
Thanks. Okay, wonderful. We will now move to the open forum, and we'll now adjourn, and then we've got one speaker tonight. That will be Shaureen Alford. That will be speaking on item 2.2 of event sponsorship program. Shaureen comes from the Orange Regional Arts Foundation. If you make your way to the lectern, and I'll just introduce the councillors. Thank you. Good to have you. Thank you very much. On my left here, we have Councillor Whitten, we have Councillor Greenhow, we have Councillor McDonald, we have Councillor Mallard, we have Councillor Stevenson, we have Councillor Duffy, Councillor Floyd, Councillor Jack Evans, Councillor Francis Kinghorn, and Councillor Tony Miletto. Thank you. You have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor and councillors. Thank you for having me speak tonight. I was asked to speak, obviously, on behalf of the Orange Regional Arts Foundation because we've put in an event funding application for an event that's theoretically to be held very shortly. As you know, the Orange Regional Arts Foundation provide ongoing support for the arts in the Orange region. We support the gallery, the theatre, the library, the conservatorium and the museum as our key recipients. And then we distribute about $40,000 a year to scholarship recipients and those institutions. Recently we were discussing that over COVID, etc., we haven't really held many events. And that brings into question our idea of bringing arts to the broader community. It's fine to just satisfy the needs of just the few that are already arts informed and already taking parts in the arts, but there's something really amazing about actually bringing the arts to the broader community and actually helping the broader community understand the value that they bring in enriching their lives, etc. So you might remember the Festival of the Arts of the 70s and 80s and how enlivening that was for the community and how it challenged and inspired young people and old people alike. So we approached council staff and they suggested that we apply for a grant under this funding body to then put an event on during the Orange Winter Fire Festival, which you may know is happening at the start of August. And so, and they offered Orange 360 as a suggested support for that. So we've been in discussion with both those organisations. And so obviously we develop a idea of what the event may be, and the event is summarised somewhat in your paper. And so time is short, but so we put the budget together for that event, and we applied to Newcrest as well for event funding, and they've provided us very generously $10,000 for that event. So for us to, if I describe the event a little more fully than what's in your papers, yes, there is a illuminated sculpture component, which is the sort of fun thing that kids can take part in, and it's an amazing thing to watch. But also we've engaged with the Conservatorium to actually bring in musicians to perform while those sculptures are being presented to the community at this event. And then there'd be dancers and even artists art events that can then be auctioned. So the question is what's the point of the event? And so obviously we've decided that obviously it should be a fundraising event for one of our key institutions. This year it seems more appropriate than ever that it should be the Conservatorium of Music. And so basically for us to make this a cost-neutral event, we've put in an application to Orange City Council for $10,000 to make this a cost-neutral event. We understand that that's more than the normal allocation, but that allows, if you were to see that as worthy, that allows us to run it as a truly community event that is cost-neutral, so we don't have to recoup funds from the community that's attending the event. So, and that means also that any funds that we do raise during the event actually put towards the Conservatorium of Music. That's really the synopsis of it. And letting me speak to you and tell you about the event, and I'll leave it up to your good judgment. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the open forum. Council now resume back to the normal. So we'll go point 2. There are no mayoral minutes this evening. I want to confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary meeting.
Do the minutes, Mr.
Wyndham, could I have a seconder for that there, please? Thank you, Councillor Mallard. Any speakers on one? Thank you, Councillor King.
Just a query. I had asked at the last meeting about a breakdown of costs for the money that's spent on the councillors, and we did get an email that broke down the amount that's spent on council, but it didn't actually break down the $785,000 that's spent on us, and that's actually what I wanted. So if it would be possible to get some more detail on it, because I can't get it anywhere near that unless insurance is a couple of $100,000, and I just can't work it out, and I would like to understand it. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, that would be great. Thank you.
Any other speakers? And now the speakers will put the motion to a vote. All in favour? All, none against. Moved, carried. Thank you. This meeting will now adjourn for the conduct of the policy meeting. I will now hand the meeting over to the Development Policy Committee, Planning and Development Policy.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I'd like to open the Planning and Development Committee meeting for the 4th of July 2023, with the time being about 6:47. I understand that there are a number of pecuniary interests from 2 councillors, those being Councillors Peterson and Kinghorn, for items 2.2, 2.3 and 2.4. I know Councillor Peterson's is only for 2.4. Have I got that correct, Councillor Kinghorn? Yep.
Right.
Item 2.1, items approved under delegated authority. The recommendation is on page 5. If I could have a recommendation. Councillor Peterson and Councillor Evans is the seconder. Any discussion on this item? No discussion. I put the motion. All those in favour? Motion's carried unanimously. Item 2.2, and we'll have Councillor Kinghorn. We'll wait till she Councillor Kingsland leaves the chamber. I can't take your move. I've always wanted to say that, Councillor Duffy, to you. Yeah, can't take your motion, mate. It's been moved by Councillor Duffy. Do I have a second? Councillor Peterson. Any discussion on this item? No discussion. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? The motion is carried unanimously. Item 2.3, development application DA 18816 Lucknow. I have a mover. It's been moved by Councillor Floyd, seconded by Councillor Peterson. Any discussion on this matter?
Just a couple of questions.
Councillor
Sorry,
McDonald.
Mr. Chair. Probably through you to the director, if possible.
He's already preempted your question.
2 questions. Okay, so just firstly, the note in here about the matter arising with the unlawful activities. I'm assuming that there's no legal way that council can, a disincentive or holding off from the application approval until that stuff is dealt with, given that they've been naughty people. So I suppose my question is, what sort of repercussions could they be looking at in terms of those breaches?
Mr. Chair, thank you for the question. Normal conduct for us, or normal procedure for us to split regulatory action for compliance with a development consent, and we hold this application up for it. You might have the option of putting additional conditions on if you'd liked in relation. Beyond that, it's just a matter of a separate enforcement action taken by council, probably likely looking at what was done. It was relatively minor whilst it did not overly significant ones, albeit in a heritage conservation area. Probably warrants a...
And the shipping container business too?
Yeah, the shipping container. It's only because it's the heritage conservation area that one some exemptions for certain places, but that site doesn't have it.
Thank you. And just one more question on that is on page 48. Just interested in the wording of under public interest. The proposal is not inconsistent with any relevant policy statements, planning studies and guidelines, etc., that have not been considered in this assessment. Is that a nice way of saying it is consistent with policy statements that I just read that and went,
The use of double negatives is a skill of town planning.
Of bureaucrats, right?
It often catches my eye when they write that.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Being that they go through the reason for it.
Okay. Thank you.
Does sound weird.
Any further questions? Being no further speakers, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. We move on to item 2.4, and I believe Councillor Peterson. There used to be a Councillor Stevenson, right?
Eddie Mark.
In my time, there was a Councillor Stevenson.
Happy to move it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Maletta. Been seconded by Councillor Mallard. Any discussion on this item? Councillor Maletta.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Look, just looking at this DR, I think it's a wonderful development application. I'm saying that because during last week I had the opportunity to attend the Orange Pool with a number of other councillors who were able to attend, and council staff become quite apparent that there was a lack of specialised facilities at the Orange City Pool, and mainly in the area of being a specialised hydrotherapy pool. There are a number of people in this town who are elderly and have disabilities who don't have the opportunity to use a specialised pool. This pool, which is being developed on that site, suggested, provides an opportunity for the community as a whole to come together and be part of those rehabilitation programs, etc. So I think this is a really good development application, and I totally support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mileto. Any further speakers?
Yeah,
Councillor
I'd
Greenhalgh?
just like to echo exactly what Councillor Mileto said. They were very passionate about it, and there was definitely a need there for exactly what they're doing. So thank you to our Indigenous community for, I guess, putting the grant application in and securing the funding, and look forward to everyone in our community being able to utilise that facility.
Thank you. There being no further speakers, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion is carried. Bring us to the end of. So, I'll close the meeting at 55 and invite. Who's next on the list?
Should be
Jack.
Councillor
Councillor Evans. You're not on here, but.
Thank you, Councillor Whitten. I'll open the Infrastructure Policy Committee meeting for the 4th of July at 6:51. I don't believe there are any declarations of interest for tonight's business. I will move on to item 2.1, the current works. Can I have someone move the current works report, please? Thank you, Councillor Floyd. Councillor Mallard seconded. Discussions on the current works.
Just
Councillor McDonald.
Sorry, I shouldn't have spoken first. Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a question through you to the Director. Just regarding the stretch of road on Woodward Street between March and Bing, the southbound lane that's been blocked off. Question is, how long before, like, A, what happened? B, how long before it's going to open up again? Because it's just traffic flowing there is just.
Yeah, so there's been a major water break there. We've had probably in the last 3 years at similar locations there. So the main's been repaired.
Right.
It's just a matter of coming through and getting approval for the road repair works.
Which is a transport thing.
Yeah, because it's the state highway
Yep,
at that location currently.
So that's why the delay.
That's why the
Right.
delay is.
Move fast, can they?
Point of clarification, is that the same spot we've just patched or a different location?
That's a different location.
Thank you. Further questions? Councillor Kinghorn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Page 6 talks about the high pedestrian activity area, so with the new brick pattern that's been stamped around the place. I'm just curious about, at the moment it's new, and if I drive on that I think, oh, so I slow down, but we're not going to put signs on there or change the speed limit until December, and by December I'll be cruising over that like there's nothing different about it. So I'm just wondering why the delay. Why not take advantage of the fact that it is different and people will notice it now?
There's two reasons. One is there's funding available for part of those works in last financial year, so we made sure that we utilised those fundings for that. And the other one is it becomes self-regulatory. I do note that you said you'll be cruising over it at any speed.
At an appropriate speed.
At an appropriate
personally.
speed. Okay. Yep. At an appropriate speed, of course.
It won't stand out then because I'll be used to it.
But even as a threshold treatment, you'll find that most cars will actually slow down with it. It's a little bit like the sticky edges in Lord's Place, for example. It does tend to slow cars down.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greenhalgh.
A question through you to the Director as well. Mine was around the high pedestrian access, like the painting as well. Is there a standard that it needs to be done to? Like, I don't think it's enough bumpy. Like, I expect to get the impact that we need, it's going to go, and you go, oh, it's sort of what you're saying. Like, those of us that don't know, I think they're just going to go, oh, this is pretty. This is something council's done again to make things look pretty. Like,
You make it bumpy, you actually introduce a vertical force to the pavement, which it may not be designed for. We've replaced a section of pavement there with hot mix, and it's thick enough to withstand what we've got there, so it doesn't introduce any unusual vertical loads into the pavement, so you shouldn't get any failures with that. So I suppose there's been a couple of things trialled, and some things are working well, some things are working not so well. We've had this similar treatment on the top of our speed humps in Anson Street for some time, and that seems to be working well. We've got advice from the operations team in Manly that their treatments are hard to, because they involve multiple colours, are actually hard to patch and repair. Yeah.
When you go over them. Yeah.
But similar to the painted thresholds at school zones, they're painted. There's no surface treatment at all with those. But we do have a pattern piece put into it, which tends to, it's not a physical feeling of bumps, but there's a visual perception there. You're driving.
Was it Councillor Mallard or Peterson had a question? Thank you, Councillor Peterson.
Sorry, just on 2.1, any updates about the Blackman Swamp stormwater harvesting? It seems to be the same as the last infrastructure report, and just wanted to know what's the process, anything?
Absolutely. So this report is written a couple of weeks ago. So at that time it was current. We've sent in our responses to DPE from all the written submissions that were received. So a summary of those were sent to us and we were asked to respond. We did that by mid-June. It was due at the end of June. DPE will now consider those responses and hopefully come to a determination. As well as that, you'll note that last Monday, the Mayor and I attended Parks to meet with the Water Minister, and we also raised the importance of the project to her at that time as well.
Thank you. Councillor Duffy, looks like you got one.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question to you, Mr. Director, is the roundabout that we currently was due to be finished at the end of June. And I think there was about $720,000 allocated for that. Have we gone over budget with that? And we're expecting this to be very shortly finished, I hope. And I'll deal with that question first, then I've got another one for you.
Yeah, no worries. I'll take that on notice because I'm not too sure whether all of the costs of the vandalism were met by the project or out of our insurance, and what component of that insurance claim would actually be payable by council. But I suspect with the wet weather that it has gone over budget, but I'll need to give you the details of that. I'll take that on notice.
We haven't had much wet weather though, really. But that's just I want to move on
during that works, absolutely.
I want to move on to the Southern Feeder Road. And it's great that work's scheduled to finish in March 2020 or May 2024, which is next year, which is good news. What steps have we taken now to do Part 4B, Stage 4B, which is cost further?
We're looking at any opportunities the state put out as far as funding goes, and same with the federal government. So we're keeping a watching eye on what funding is available to help progress that. We still have council's contribution sitting within the Section 711 fund for that section of works.
My comment to you, Mr. Chairman, is I think we urgently need to do that because we can see that Anson Street and Coronation Drive, those during peak hour, are blocking virtually up from the right through to the top of Anson Street. So any opening up of what better.
Are there comments on the current works?
Yes. Just a question to the Director. I'm just wondering, has there been any meetings between Council and those government representatives with regards to funding at this point in time?
No direct meetings with the government representatives where we've been meeting with them on other matters, not on funding opportunities at this point in time, but they generally advise us when those funding opportunities are coming through.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have two questions now, Director, relating to Southern Feeder. The intersection at Park and Chiralee, are we expecting that particular portion of the project to be completed and usable before the project in its entirety? And the second one is I've got a correspondence from members of the Christian school who are just wondering if we could provide them any detail about when work is going to progress past the Christian school and if it's going to interfere with when they're doing their trial HSC and HSC periods. To get some information to them.
Yeah, certainly. While there'll certainly be works happening on the road itself, and it's probably something that we can't actually stop a section while the HSC is in progress. But I think there's other considerations that the school can make in that respect.
Yeah, as long as we communicate with them, I suppose. But
yeah, happy to. And yes, the roundabout will be open ahead of the rest of the works.
Do we have a rough ETA or not really?
Sorry?
Do we have a rough estimate on when the roundabout itself is going to be completed or not really?
I'd like to get out of the ground first. We're still dealing with some soft patches there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Further questions? I will move the current works report. All in favour? Thank you. I'll close the Infrastructure Committee meeting at 7:01 and hand to Councillor Mallard for Sustainability Policy Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. I will open the Environmental Sustainability Policy Committee meeting on the 4th of July with the time being 7:01 p.m. 1.1 declarations of interest. I don't think we had any. If we don't have any declarations now, I'll move on to item 2.1, minutes of the Parks, Trees and Waterways Community Committee of the 1st of June. There's a recommendation on page 5. Do I have a mover and a seconder?
I'm happy to move it, but there's amendments that need to be done to the minutes.
Okay. Well, do you want to move the recommendation with those amendments?
Yes.
Should we do it that way, I think? Yep,
so just in the minutes, it says that Mr. Arkid moved item 1.1 and seconded item 2. However, he wasn't actually in the meeting until during 3.1. So I don't know, can't recall from that meeting who was the mover and seconder of those two items, but he wasn't in the virtual room then. He joined the meeting at 5:45, if that helps for the...
Okay, so got a motion to accept the minutes with those corrections, which I suspect we can't find the right info, but we'll look into that later on. Do I have a seconder for that motion? Thanks, Councillor Floyd. Is there...
Because we done.
Is there any discussion on this item? No discussion. I'll put the motion. All in favour? And against? Carried. Thank you. And we'll move on to item 2.2, the minutes of the Companion Animals Community Committee meeting of the 8th of June. Recommendation for this on page 21. Do I have a mover and a seconder for this? Councillor McDonald, thanks, and Councillor Peterson. Any discussion on Councillor Kinghorn?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of things. One, it talks about the free animal food at Food Care. I just assume that Food Care have been consulted about that. I'm just checking that they actually have. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't be on board, but I just read that and thought, it would be nice if somebody had actually asked them about it. And there was the bit about the compostable dog bags. A little bit further on, it says that's got some prices, and they weren't actually that different per carton. It doesn't say how many were in the carton, though, and I was just curious as to whether it actually was the same, like for like.
Yep. I'll try to answer both of those. My understanding was the same. Certainly, the staff had done the comparison and were saying, yeah, it's basically not very different. So well, to the best of my understanding, yeah, it's an equal number, which is why the committee decided to go ahead and
and look at getting quotes, and given that it's a better environmental outcome.
Yep.
For very little change. And sorry, your first question.
Oh, it was just about food care.
Yes, in my understanding, the pound staff and the other staff have been starting to talk with food care about that. I'm not sure if to add anything, but yeah, they have been talking about it and working ways that we can look at how we can try to help people who cost of living is affecting not only feeding themselves but feeding their animals.
Dogs are part of the family. I realise that, but I just they do a lovely food care, and I just wanted to make sure that we weren't just assuming that they would take on more. So, thank you,
Councillor Miletto.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a follow-up question to Kinghorn, just regards to the dog bags. Tell me where those dog bags are being produced and how many per annum we're expecting to purchase. No, we do have a buy local policy. I'm just wondering whether this fits within that.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the bags aren't produced in Orange. I think they come from Melbourne. I think the last time, some years ago though. But I'm not sure about the compostable bags. What I'll do is I'll just get a summary. I'll answer Councillor Kinghorn's questions as well about the cost and just give you an overview of more detail of what it is.
And with regards to quantity, have you got any idea how many we can expect to use per year in Orange?
Quantity. Yeah, we'll be able to tell you. I'll have to take that on notice and come back to you on that as well, because we do weekly trips around all the dog parks with those dispensers. And
shovels.
We do go, no, just to put the bags in the dispenser. Surprisingly, we go through a lot. Find out how many we do. In relation to what question was about how many, what are the bags, although the box size, they're actually a pretty massive size and quite a large roll that they come in, so there's a lot.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Being none, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you, councillors. That concludes the Environmental Sustainability Policy Committee meeting at 7:07 p.m. I'll call on Councillor Duffy to conduct the Finance Policy Committee.
Thank you, Councillor Mallard, and I'll declare the Finance Policy Committee open at 7:07 and call for declaration of pecuniary interest in significant period. There's been none. Is there any finance?
A non-significant non-pecuniary in item 2.1, number 6.
Okay. Remove that. With that notation, we'll now move on to 2.1 and small donation. Would someone like to move that we deal with these individually? Moved by Councillor Greenhalgh and seconded by Councillor Evans. Okay, I'll put that. All those in favour, raise your hand. Thank you. Unanimous. We go to page 2.1 on page 5, and the first one is to donate $1,370 to the Orange Woodworkers Association for the purchase of a sliding track passage to enhance the safe operation of their large jet.
Happy to move that.
Second that.
Been moved by Councillor Miletto, seconded by Councillor McDonald. Any discussion? No discussion? Put that recommendation. All those in favour say raise your hand. Unanimous. 2, donate $2,340 to the Orange Regional Vinlands Association, ORVA, to cover the fee for the function centre for the Orange Wine Show industry event, not open to the public.
Chair, I just have a question, if I may, please. I'm just wondering why we are making donation and why the fee isn't being waived. Through
you, Mr. Chair, it amounts to the same. The fee, we still have to account for the fundings. What happens is funds are taken out of the donation.
I know it. I I understand the mythology behind it. I just would feel that we are actually doing here by following the process is denying perhaps another applicant the opportunity to apply for that $2,300. And there are certainly some worthwhile organisations out there who would look at favourably upon type of money, but I understand that there's a process to follow.
I have a question for the acting CEO, and that is question, is ORVA sponsored by Orange 360?
Go back to you, Mr. Chair. I don't believe that.
Member. Orva are a member of 360. They're not sponsored. No.
So they receive no money whatsoever?
I don't know that. I'm just saying they're a member of 360. I don't know if 360 give.
I don't know the answer, Mr.
I'll come back with that answer.
Come back to you.
Okay. I'm happy to move that. Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Moved and seconded. Councillor Peter, do we have a seconder?
I'm happy to second that, Mr.
Seconded, Councillor Whitten. All those in favour, raise your hand. Against? Declare the motion carried. Item number 3, to donate $2,500 to Orange Art Society for the purchase of a laptop computer, laser printer and associated software to better service their members and the community.
To move that, Mr. Chair.
Move Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor Mallard. Any discussion? No discussion? Put that recommendation. All those in favour, raise your hand. Unanimous. Number 4, to donate $6,500 or the category maximum of $2,500 to Real United assistance towards their workshop within Orange High School. Recommendation there. Do we have any recommendation, or we have something else?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to speak against the.
You're moving something different?
No, I'm just going to vote against it.
Yeah, there's no motion, so you can move. You can vote move not to support it.
Councillor Whitten, you're moving not to support.
I'll move a motion that we don't support it, Mr. Mayor, just for discussion. Yeah.
Have a seconder? So it's moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah. I'll give Councillor Miletto and then come back to you. You'll have the right of reply, Councillor Whitten.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I understand that United are a for-profit organisation, whilst I believe that they provide a valuable, dedicated service to preventive tackling of increased issues regarding suicide, fatherlessness, crime and sexual abuse amongst young men. I do not believe that it is a responsibility of Orange City Council nor the ratepayers of Orange to be subsidising such a program. I also believe that it should be the responsibility of the New South Wales Department of Education to do so. Assume that each individual school should or would have allocated necessary funds to address these type of needs. We all know, Councillor, the Orange City Council is working on a tight budget for the next financial year, hence the reason that I do not support it. Thank you very much.
So just a point of clarification first. So the current motion is that it's not going to be approved. Is that okay? So I'm speaking against the current motion, mainly because I get that it's over the limit. I would probably be more inclined to support $2,500, but our children are dying, and I get what Councillor Miletto has said. Perhaps there's a room here to actually work with Reunited and see what can be done to make sure that the program happens, but that it's not about making money, but that it actually happens, because these are issues that we have to help with in our community. And I understand what Councillor Miletto is saying in terms of it being a Department of Education thing, but I mean, where do we draw the line? So I'm speaking against the motion.
Any further discussion?
I'd like to speak if I can, Mr. As the mover. I'm not closing the debate. I haven't spoke yet. The reason I not supporting it, one, because it's a for-profit organisation. Is this organised through you, Mr. Chair, to the CEO, acting CEO? Is this organisation local, Mr. CEO? Yeah. Yeah. Look, I understand exactly the sentiment in the spirit of what they're doing. Yeah, it's needed. Again, but should we be supporting it as a council when it's one, it's a for-profit organisation, two, it's not from Orange. And I would have thought if it's a program run for behalf of Orange High School, I believe, is it? Or one of the schools? I can't remember now.
Orange High Schools.
That the school would have bid for the money, right? Or they would have come to council, right? Yeah. So, yeah, like I agree with Council McDonald that we've got to, and we are participating with community organisations to protect our youth in this city. But I believe that there are better ways that we can spend this money with programs that are currently within our own community, that the money stays in the community. Generally, that's why we support things, to try and keep the revenue in the community, spent in the community. That's the reason why I'm speaking. That's why I have this motion, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, look, I having lost a child myself, I understand the importance of trying to keep all our children safe. And I think, as a council, we have a responsibility. But I know Orange High run the Resilience Project, and Director Maunder has applied for funding for that for, I think it's our second time, Scott, we've had that running through Orange High School.
I think we're Councillor with.
Yeah. So I understand the importance of these things, and like there is some other stuff I've been working through for mental health with our local member. I think exactly what Councillor Whitten said, like it needs to come from state and federal government, not our taxpayer, our ratepayers' money here. And I think we would need to, we need more information. Like what does that package entail? Like we need some more information around it. And I'm exactly the same. It's a for-profit organisation. So yeah, I'll be voting against it.
Any further speakers? Councillor Kinghorn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pretty simple for me. It doesn't comply with the policy. It doesn't comply with the policy, then I think we need to be really careful, because if you start giving them to things that don't comply with what we've decided are the boundaries, then it just opens it up for all sorts of other stuff. So, yeah, not happy to do this either.
Councillor Mallard.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I also speak in support of the motion to not provide the funding, and I completely agree with Councillor McDonald about the importance of providing programs. I've talked about the importance of targeting the causes of the problems we're seeing in society. But yeah, looking at this one, I've had a bit of a look. We don't have any information really about the evidence base to support this program as an effective program. That, for me, even more than the fact that it's a for-profit program. I think just saying the Education Department should be doing it, I don't tend to agree with that, simply because it's a reality that they're underfunded as well. I think that should be fixed. And I think we should be looking at what we're doing, and I'm glad to hear that we are involved in running programs. But yeah, I'm not seeing a compelling argument for this program. And certainly I'm not seeing anything from Orange High indicating what's led to them. Like it's the Reunited group that are applying to run it and make a profit. Yeah, as I said, I don't see that it's clear that this is an effective program, and that there's evidence there to support it. So yeah, I think I can't support putting this money into something that we just don't know exactly what it's going to deliver and what it provides. We've got nothing to back that up. Thanks.
Any further speakers? No further speakers. I'm going to put that recommendation from Councillor Whitten and Councillor Miletto. All those in favour, raise your arm. Against? Councillor McDonald is against. That be noted. I declare the motion carried. Item number 5, donate $3,000 to category maximum to Country Education Foundation of Australia, Orange and District Branch to help 2 to 3 school leavers from Orange LGA access further education
one, Mr. Chairman.
2024.
I think you missed one. In my list anyway.
The order's back to front.
Out of order, a bit further down.
My apologies, Mr. Chairman.
Do we have a mover and a seconder, or a speaker who go for or against?
I'll move that we fund to the category maximum of $2,500.
Moved by Councillor Mallard, seconded by Councillor Peterson. Any speakers?
I'll just speak to say I think we funded this last year, I believe, and I think the Country Education Foundation do good work supporting some local kids to further themselves in education. But yeah, I think we've talked about the fact that we've got limited funds. I think funding to the maximum under our policy makes sense.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think it's a great scheme. The only thing I would ask, it'd be good to get the organisation to pop along to council to give us a bit of an update on who are we don't know from a privacy point of view, we don't want to know who the students are, but which schools they may have chosen the scholarships from or to help. I don't think they're scholarships, or they may be scholarships. But anyway, it'd be good to get a report from them to give us an update on how many candidates from our LGA get selected. Yeah.
Mover and seconder be happy to add that the CEO come back to us with details of what's happened in the past 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Mover and seconder happy with that. Thank you, Whitten. I'm going to put that. Any further speakers? No further speakers. I can put that recommendation. All those in favour? Unanimous. Now move on to number 6. Donate $10,000 or the category maximum of $2,000 to Algeriri singers in their performance of Mendelssohn, John Elijah in Orange and Bathurst in November.
I move that we approve 2,500, but also go back to the applicant to find out why the amount was so huge.
You have a seconder?
I'd like to move a motion this be heard. If I
we don't have a
Councillor
second.
I'll second it. Yeah.
We have a mover and a seconder. Now we're going to have an amendment.
Yes, please. The reason being, Mr. Chair, is that just to know whether Bathurst City Council, the organisation has come to Orange City Council, asked for $2,500. They asked for $10,000, but the maximum is 2.5. Yet they're singing at Bathurst, and also get the pleasure of listening to this fine music. I'm just wondering whether the Bathurst City Council were contributing to the cause as well. We could make those inquiries and come back to the next meeting. Appreciate that.
I'm happy to second that, Mr. Chair.
We're going to second it. Okay, any discussion for the motion or the amendment?
Am I happy to? I'll withdraw.
You happy to withdraw yours?
I'm happy to withdraw and accept the amendment as the motion.
Accept the amendment as the motion. Any discussion on the motion, which is Councillor Miletto's and Councillor Whitten's?
I will just make a just general fly the flag for musos. My interest in this is that I'm a member of the Orange Symphony Orchestra, and we did a program a couple of years ago with the Allegri Singers for the Armed Man. Same sort of thing, one concert in Orange, one concert in Bathurst, both were sold out. It's an incredible opportunity, and I will note that I didn't see any familiar faces at the Orange Symphony Orchestra concert the weekend before last. A treat. But yeah, I think this is just a valuable thing, so if we can defer and work with them and come back with some more information.
Any speakers?
You did. It was
Mendelssohn's Elijah is unreal, right? Done.
Councillor Maletta, you want your right to reply?
No.
Okay, councillors, I'm going to put that recommendation. All those in favour say aye. Or raise your hand, sorry.
We're on a run, Councillor Maletta. We've got a couple up tonight.
Madam Speaker, we move on now to dot point 7, which is donate $4,000 or the category maximum of $2,000 to Catherine Macaulay Primary School. Start up a school garden and garden club.
Move, Mr. Chair, that the category maximum of $2,500 be donated to ensure adequate spread of funds over the year.
Happy to second that.
We have a mover to go to 2,500. And second, we have any further discussion or have any amendments?
I suppose, sorry.
Look, I'll speak against it. Again, I don't believe it is Orange City Council and ratepayers' responsibility to be funding school programs. Catholic education system may have enough funds to cover this type of thing. So I can't support it in its current format. Thank you very much.
Any further speakers?
Or if they go to Bunnings, they'll get it all for nothing. But I can't speak on behalf of Bunnings.
Any further speakers? Councillors, I'm going to speak against the motion as well. I agree with Councillor Miletto. We're not a public benevolent institution. The education department in most schools have P&Cs and P&Fs and all those things to raise funds to start up organisations, groups such as this to support their school, and we have a lot of issues on our own hands that we should be better off putting our money towards. Any further speakers? Councillor Green.
A question or a point of clarification. Is Catherine Macaulay one of the schools that we normally give money to for the end of year presentations?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. My comment is I think we give all schools money at the end. Any further discussion? I'm going to put the motion. If the motion goes down, we need another motion. All those in favour of the motion, raise your hand. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Voting for it, Mr. Chairman.
Voting for the motion. Go. Those 4, raise your hand. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Against? 2, 3. I declare the motion carried. And now we move on to 2.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, that was for the category maximum 2,500.
Category maximum 2,500, yes.
For those wonderful young children at Catherine Macaulay, the chairman voted against. Sorry. Catholic too.
We move on to 2.2. There's a recommendation that council resolve to provide maximum category amount of $5,000 under the Event Sponsorship Incubator Fund for the Orange Regional Arts Foundation.
I'm happy to move it, but I've also got a question.
Happy to move the $5,000. Councillor McDonald. Moved by Councillor McDonald. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Floyd. Any discussion?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, if possible. I suppose, given that this was something that ORAF was sort of approached by council staff to do, I'm wondering whether, if this gets up tonight, is it possible for council staff to work with ORAF to see other ways they can save money on this?
Can you do that, councillor?
Can I ask a question? Will that money be taken off the $5,000 in kind? Or?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I understand it's a direct cash contribution towards the event out of the funding available for that incubator event fund.
Okay, I'm going to put that recommendation. Any more speakers? No further speakers? Can put that recommendation. All those in favour, raise your hand. Declare the matter closed, and I also declare the Finance Policy Committee closed and call on Councillor McDonald, and the closure time is 7:29.
Thank you, Councillor Duffy. I open up the Services Policy Committee meeting 29. Yeah, that'll do. Excellent. Any declarations of interest? Nope. Item 2.1, minutes of the NAIDOC Community Committee meeting on the 4th of May. Page 5 has the recommendation. And can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Greenhalgh. Thank you, Councillor Power. Any discussion? Yes, Councillor Power.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to acknowledge that this week here now that we are nationwide celebrating NAIDOC Week for our elders. Them and Orange, we usually do it in the warmer times. But just to acknowledge that there are celebrations across Australia now, and also in Bathurst, the privilege of actually going over there and being a part of that. So it's a really exciting time for the NAIDOC committee, but also across Australia. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other discussion? In that case, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, raise an arm. Excellent, unanimous. Thank you. Item 2.2, minutes of the Cultural Heritage Community Committee meeting.
Move the minutes.
Thank you, Councillor Mallard. Thank you, Councillor Evans. Any discussion on this item?
Chair, just like to thank the Lions Club of Orange for the unveiling of the time capsule down in Robinson Park last Thursday. The Deputy Mayor attended. I think he spoke rather well, and the Director of Parks and Gardens has got a job on his hands filling in that big hole and making sure it goes back properly.
Great back.
Beautiful. But my family was one of the beneficiaries of this project, with my grandfather having put a couple of items in there, and our family, along with many others in the community, have enjoyed going through some of those items. I'd encourage any other community members have pulled some lucky items out of that time capsule to get in contact with the library to get them scanned, and perhaps even donate copies of what they found in there. I know we found a lot of interesting relics not relating directly to us, but the region as a whole. Congratulations, Lions.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other discussion? Okay, so I'll put the motion. All those in favour? That's it, unanimous. Item 2.3.
Matter arising, Madam Chair.
Oh, yes, Councillor.
Just relating to the cultural heritage, I was just wondering if we could get any information about potential relics from the old Sale Pavilion. I know I used to attend out there as a small boy and saw what used to go on underneath those, the hallowed tin shed down the back there. I was just wondering if we could get any information about if there's any remaining, and what, if any plans there are to put any of it up our parks and gardens. Thank you.
Pass it on to you, Mr. Acting
Happy to
CEO.
do that through you, Madam Chair.
I would pass on the trespassing sign to him, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
I do believe it's a condition of consent for the development of the sale yard site to reinstate some of the, like a portion or a bay of that, the old tin cover, that long tin cover for the run, as part of the entry statement for that subdivision.
Are you looking at putting any other parts of it in, like the Botanic Gardens, for instance, or only at that development site?
We were looking at where we've got the old dairy, the Redmond Dairy, on the entrance to town, and we've got some some iron cutouts of in the images of cows or cattle in that area. We were also looking at putting a couple of bays in that area, and then if there was anything left over after that that was of usable value, then we'd look at selling that through an expression of interest. Yes.
Righty, item 2.3, minutes of the Ageing and Access Community Committee meeting on the 16th of May, page 57 is the recommendation. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Peterson. Councillor Mallard. Any discussion? Nope, excellent. All right, all those in favour, raise an arm. Thank you, unanimous. Last but not least, item 3.1, Cook Park 150th anniversary celebrations. Councillor Duffy, do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Floyd.
Just as a comment, Madam Chair, that I think it's a great opportunity for our staff to come forward with detailed plan designs for our bird aviary. Announcement of the 150th anniversary.
Any other discussion? Councillor Evans.
Just wondering if there's scope at all for looking at potential tours for some of the significant sites in the park, or even some of the floral designs. Like maybe we could run tours through some of our staff. Are we open to that sort of idea? Or?
I'll pass it on to the acting CEO.
We can certainly do some tours up there on the days. Yep. We'll just pick a couple of times, I think, Councillor, and advertise those.
Any other discussion? Alrighty. In that case, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Excellent. Unanimous. Thank you, councillors.
Matter arising, Madam Chair. Just on the Cook Park thing, I think I raised a question a while ago. All of the lights that used to be at Cook Park, whatever happened to those? Yeah, it used to be, Cook Park used to be lit up for any of those who grew up here. It was all lit with massive lights up the trees, and then all of a sudden they weren't there. I think the lights are still there. They just don't turn them on.
They affected the bats, I think.
Attracted
Are you
them.
happy to take that on notice, or?
I will have to take that on notice, Madam Chair, but I'll find out.
Yeah, thanks.
Moving that way, Councillor Wynne.
The chair, acting CEO has taken it on notice to bring a report back. Don't need a motion, Councillor.
Alrighty. In that case, I will conclude the meeting at 7:36 p.m. and I will hand back to our Deputy Mayor.
All right.
Councillors, thank you, chairs. I'd like to declare the meeting open again at 7:37, and we'll on to point found on page 20. Motion.
You move that, Mr.
South
Chair.
Hot Plants Primary School Design Challenge. Councillor Donald, would you like to move this motion?
I would.
I'll second it.
Seconder. Thank you, Councillor Jack Evans.
I'm more than happy to speak to it. Look, I think this is fairly given. There's not too much to go into really. There's from last count, I think there's about 20 odd pots there. This is basically something that came from my son actually as we were driving along Lord's Place House, and he said, "Mum, those are boring." I think this is a great opportunity to get the school kids involved. It's also a great opportunity for our local Indigenous artists to be showcased. 20 pots is more than plenty to go around, so I think this is just commend this to you all.
The other speakers. Thank you, Councillor.
I'd like to deal with them both separately, if that's okay. And I would like to speak.
You seconded, Councillor Duffy? Second to.
Yeah.
Yep, cool.
Don't mean to be a party pooper here, but I'm going to speak against the notice of motion. I also agree that the idea has merit. However, I do believe that Lord's Place wouldn't be an appropriate location to showcase this type of artwork. I say that because Council have engaged a professional consultant to assist with providing recommendations with regards to Lord's Place. The master plan of Lord's Place was placed on exhibition. The public also had the opportunity to provide feedback with regards to what they would like, what they'd like to see in the design. Working groups are also established and provided feedback. As a result of the information received, I'm not aware of any feedback that would support this type of artwork. I do believe this type of artwork wouldn't enhance the aesthetics of the area, which also includes historical buildings. I think that more appropriately, the Adventure Children's Playground would be a more suitable location to have this type of artwork displayed. Thank you very much.
Any speakers on the? Are we doing the amendment? So
I'm speaking against it.
Point of clarification. Councillor Miletto asked to deal with them separately.
Yeah, that's what I just wanted to get.
That's the first one.
So that's the first one there. So
yes, I'm speaking against the first one.
Sorry.
But we haven't voted on whether we're dealing with them separately.
You're speaking on the first one?
Yeah, we didn't run the motion.
Yeah, the pots, yeah.
Councillors just have to agree to deal with them.
Yeah. Yeah. So, do we agree
That we
on?
deal with them in seriatim.
Yeah, we got one of those. Yeah,
Yeah.
we just need to put it.
Okay. So the motion is on thing that we deal with them separately. All hands in favour for separately. And against? All carried. Okay, we'll do them separately.
And I've just spoken against it.
And you spoke against the
Thank you.
the first one.
Yes,
Councillor
thank you.
Okay, any other speakers on
Yes,
the?
Chairman, I'm going to speak
point
against
one?
it, not because I don't like it or whatever the case may be, but look, Lord's Place hasn't passed a pub test. As far as I'm concerned, if I stand at the next of council, it's going to be one of my main things is going to dismantle it and put it in a further appropriate place. Relocate the trees out to the sports ground or the ageism policy that we have. We even had a woman tripped over the other day with the confusion with all the colours.
Point of
down there at the
clarification,
moment.
this actually isn't about the
Someone advises
item.
what the story is with that.
Councillor Duffy,
Being
I
painted-
think we're
they're painted
speaking
white
on
on
the
the top. I saw
motion,
it on
and the
Sunday.
motion is the Lord's Place plants.
But I'm just putting why I'm voting against it. It doesn't pass the pub test. It doesn't matter where you go. We've seen it on social media. We've seen it everywhere. 90-something% of people in Orange do not want it. They want it to back the way it is. and
Point of
look
order, this is
somewhere
not
else.
about the design of Lord's Place. This is about the pots.
They're part of
Thank
the
you.
DA.
Excuse me, Councillor Duffy.
DA.
The motion is around the pot plants. The designs have already, we passed all that there. We're speaking
Motion is, Mr.
now
Chairman.
on the pot plants. So,
Pot plants are part of Lord's Place.
okay. So you're speaking against the actual painting of the pot plants. Okay. Any speakers? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I was actually a little. I love the idea and getting sort of schools involved and making the community a little bit more bonded to the area. I do get that. I went and had a look on Sunday. There are only 2 of those pots that are just sitting on the curb. The rest of them are sitting on the painted bits. So you've got this sort of psychedelic hippie aesthetic there. And I just wondered if you then start putting other things on those pots, if that's going to be confusing. Is it going to detract from what's on the pots? I just thought it just might end up a bit chaotic. So even though I actually really like the sentiment here, I'm actually going to vote against it as well.
And I don't know, it's probably going to need to be taken on notice. Like, I love the idea as well, but what would we be looking at for wraps and paint? Like, what would are we already over budget for Lord's Place or? Because, I mean, I completely agree. The pot colour is terrible and it lacks pizzazz, as Mel said. But yeah, like Francis said, like the flow and stuff. Yeah, but Adventure Playground I think would be fabulous.
Take it on notice the cost of the vinyl wraps, but they're certainly not excessive. I've seen plenty of boats and cars with vinyl wraps applied to them, so I wouldn't think this would be an excessive cost. I'll report back separately on the cost of Lord's Place and take that on notice as well. But I would point out that Council has a new future city budget and it's up to Council to determine that. We'll have a couple of briefing sessions where we first introduce it and then go through some of the options of what we will deliver this year, and this would certainly fit within that scheme.
Councillor Whitten.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Deputy Mayor, sorry. Look, I'm speaking against the motion as well. I have to agree with Councillor Miletto that there has been a lot of work in assessing what should be done with Lord's Place from a design point of view. And certainly there's no doubt that Lord's Place is contentious, especially with those businesses there. So I think the engagement should be with the businesses about if there is any further design there, that should be engagement with them around that. And I think that is part of what Councillor Miletto has mentioned in that particular report. So, so I'll be voting against the motion for.
Councillor Mallard.
Thanks. Yeah, I want to speak in support of part 1 of the motion and thank Councillor McDonald for bringing it. Yeah, I do agree that I think pots sort of stand out as something that could be livened up, and I think could add a bit more vibrancy to that space. I mean, there was a concept plan developed. There wasn't full consultation on every detail of the design that was implemented, and that includes, you know, I'll acknowledge the paint has been contentious. It's been something I've been getting feedback even from people who understand the principles of what you're trying to do with making streets more pedestrian friendly, making them shared spaces rather than making them all about cars barreling down there as fast as they can. That even those people have looked at what's happened with the painting on the concrete, and maybe that's something we're going to reconsider, acknowledging that this is something that's trial and error along the way. And if we were to reconsider that, then I think definitely having something that's livening up those pot plants would be really important. But I really do think it would be good in terms of enhancing community connections. The street isn't just about the businesses. Yes, the businesses are important, but our city is for our community. And we're making it a space where people can go and spend more time. If kids could go down there and see something that they've been involved in creating, then I think that would help create a really great connection between our community and the city that we're inhabiting. So I think there's a lot that's great about this in terms of what the things could look like. If this passes, then I think we can trust the staff to work through things in terms of working on the brief that goes out to the schools and the teachers so that they work with the kids to come up with things that make sense in the context of the street. So yeah, I'm happy to support it. Thanks.
Point of clarification, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Councillor.
My point of clarification is the actual cost. If this resolution gets up, and I'm directing it to the CEO, the acting CEO, if this resolution gets up, irrespective of what the cost is going to be, it's still going to go ahead. Is that correct? Irrespective, and you've got to think that those golden balls down there cost $10,200 each. So what's the cost of these things going to cost? And there's still 4 of them missing. They're supposed to be in Lord's Place somewhere. Is that why someone pinched them?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the resolution as written suggests that if it's passed, it will go ahead, irrespective of the cost, yes.
Yep, that's all right. That's all I want to know.
Councillor Jack Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll speak in support of the motion and build on some of the points raised by Councillor Mallard that this is a place for community, and if you engage our school children, it becomes a place that people want to go and see, and I think that's the whole idea of what we're trying to do down there. Speaking on the actual material to be used, vinyl, very hard to remove. I work with it every day. It makes me excited for the long-term potential of what this idea could bring, where it could be replaced every year. It's not terribly expensive, and if we have like a certain year group that we engage every year, it gets redone. And as Councillor Mallard's raised, staff work with briefs with the schools to make sure it's not a total eyesore and it is engaging for the community.
Thanks, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I'm going to vote in favour of this tonight because I'm just looking at the motion as it stands. It says a design challenge. I would like to see how our primary school kids come up with designing something. It's not about just going out throwing paint and colours around everywhere to make it look like a dog's breakfast. It's about to integrate that space into something that is user-friendly, eye-friendly, and I'm really looking forward to the primary school kids coming up with something that will be able to be integrated into that area and not look like an eyesore. So I think the design challenge part of it, it wins this for me because I think the kids are going to do a great job with something like this, and it's something we should give them the opportunity to do. So yes, that's a yes from me.
So just a point of clarification through you, Mr. Chair. Would it come back to council before it progressed further?
Through Mr. Chair, that's a matter for council to determine. Resolution as written doesn't require that. It isn't clear as to the cost. There is a comment in there that the financial implications that a report would come back to council on the cost. So it's up if council wishes to add to the motion to report back to council on the cost prior to any works proceeding.
Happy to move
certainly do that.
Amendment to defer it until we know the costs, Mr.
I'll support that.
Can I just have a point of clarification? Is there a reason that wasn't done when I lodged this with staff? Is there a reason that, or is it just sort of assumed that wait to decide whether it gets up or not?
I'll take this one. The budget for the Future City project for this year is quite significant. And this is this would fit well within that budget. So it's not.
Yes, but I suppose what my question is, like when it says financial cost of producing, installing the adhesive wrap will be investigated and reported back to council. Yeah. I mean, I would have been happy to delay this notice of motion for staff to actually provide that to go with the notice of motion, because that would have, I don't know, it just would have made more sense to me rather than putting it up without that information.
Noted, council.
Noted. Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just speak for the amendment. So, I think it'd be handy if we know as councillors what the cost would be, and the community probably would like to know. I do respect the fact that the director said that the budget would fit into the budget, but we still have an obligation to understand how much it's going to cost as councillors.
Okay, Councillor.
Point of clarification, Mr. Chair, just with regards to the design challenge. Just wondering, when we talk about design challenges, will these designs come back to council for council to vote on? Because I guess everybody's understanding or appreciation of art is different, and some of the art which may be produced by young people is different to that which would be appreciated by more senior people. So I'm just wondering whether there be a panel of people who would decide on what this art should look like. I think it's important.
Through you, Mr. Chair, it is an inherent challenge with design competitions, particularly with primary schools. So it is a consideration. We can certainly have the involvement of staff and councillors if that's the wish of council. No problem with that.
Just Councillor.
Sorry, just another question. So to Francis's point, so it doesn't look like a dog's breakfast. I guess, if we defer it, we can come up with a tighter sort of parameter as such. We could set criteria, colours, whatever, that need to be used to, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, I'm just thinking outside the box. But we could control quite a bit of it, I guess, so that we're not getting all this random stuff that, sort of fits into that colour theme or, whatever down there. Just run it out there.
Mr. Chair, we could certainly come back to council with what it might look like. There is the potential for clashes, obviously, with the pot plant sitting on the coloured surfaces, whether you just do the top of the pot or a middle band around the pot, so there's separation between the road surface and the whatever design it is. So what we did the flower boxes on in the South Court, for example, sort of that thickness could just be a wrap around the middle of the flower pot, so you still have the separation of colours, for example. So we can certainly come back to you on different options.
Any other speakers? Yes, Councillor.
I agree with Councillor Greenhouse there, but I just think if you put too many parameters on these things, you take away the challenge aspect. That's just my thoughts as well. We shouldn't be putting too many sort of black and white parameters around this, because we're going to lose that primary school kids' flair and what have you. So I'm just a bit hesitant to try and introduce too many parameters around this.
I'd just like to close the debate. Possible?
There's an amendment.
Oh, well, can I just make a point of clarification? As the motion says, council undertake a design challenge inviting all local primary schools to create a design for the large plant pots along Lords Place South. It doesn't actually say anything about, it's not specifying that they're going to be installed. I think deferring it is, it's neither here nor there. The motion is the challenge itself. we're not actually, this isn't actually dealing specifically with installing them yet. I just wanted to point that out.
Yes, Councillor Duffy.
Speak for the amendments, Chairman. I agree with the deferral simply because of the basis of cost. I mean, you can put something through here, then it doesn't matter where you go, what school you go to, there's an intent there given by the council to say, hey, we're going to do something. Expectation there. Or why you just let them down. Doesn't sit well with me.
Any other speakers? Okay, I'm going to speak for the motion, point one of the motion. I think it personally, listen to all the thing. It's we want community to be participants of something that people have said we weren't involved, and the next generation to have that. Hopefully, if it does continue on past the this point of time in relation to Lord's Place, I think it's a great thing when you look at the challenge, children involved, pot plants, beautification. I actually got a bit excited. I actually drive down that street every day. I live just off the road every day, and to see it all just grey, and to see, and I do take on notice the people saying the colours that are there are a bit dull, the colours things. Heck, I thought it was, this is something, because I'm speaking for the motion, point one of the motion, and yeah, so that's my thing on that. So, any other speakers before we move on? Because we're going to speak for the deferring.
Point of order or clarification, one or the other.
Yeah.
There was an amendment up to defer it. Is that correct?
Yeah. So yeah, Councillor Whitney and Councillor Greenhouse. So we'll put the motion up to be deferred. May I have hands of for the motion? For the amendment. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Those against that, we have 5. So the motion to defer it. Just noting that there, if we're deferring it, then we're deferring number 2 too. Is that correct? Because now we're only talking about number 1. Just so that all council are aware. We're deferring number 2.
Hang on.
So, yeah. So we'll go from there. Okay, so we'll vote on the amendment to the amendment comes to motion. So all are in favour for the amendment of the motion. Yeah. Yeah, okay, and against, and carried. Thank you. We'll drop down to point 2, that that remaining allocated pots be offered to local artists, emerging artists to have their artwork showcased. Deferred as well. Could I have a second for the deferred? Thank you, Councillor Stevenson. And Radio Peterson. Sorry, my bad.
He's dyed his hair blonde.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have a vote on the actual deferring of that there? The motion, please. 1, 2. Okay, and against? And 3 against, so that's carried.
Matter arising.
Yes.
Can we just make sure that next time it comes back that we actually do have all this information, please?
Wonderful. Thank you. We'll go down to 4.2. Notice motion for the New South Wales Local Roads Congress Council report.
Move the motion.
Happy to second it.
And a second. Thank you. And would you like to speak on it, Councillor?
I thoroughly enjoy this. I actually learnt a lot, and it was good to understand the Build Back Better program, and yeah, it was thoroughly enjoyable and yeah, really worthwhile.
Any other speakers?
Chairman, I just want to thank Councillor Greenhalgh for acknowledging the fact that she went somewhere new as a new councillor and learnt some stuff as regards to the process of the political arena of what actually happens at these conferences, and I'm pretty sure she will take that with her no matter where she goes. I met her, she can go to any conference. Experience, and I noticed in the one of the social media columns that they had a bit of complaint about a bit of a whinge about councillors going away. I mean, that's how you're going to get to learn and get your networks going and learn your understanding of what actually happens, irrespective of what political party you belong to or whether you're an independent or whatever the case may be. I always will support the councillors going away and coming back to help them make informed decisions on ratepayers.
Any other speakers? I'll put the motion to a vote. All hands in favour. Okay, carried, moves. Thank you very much for that. Okay, go down to page 29, 5.1, the Royal Gathering, Women's Gathering, Royal Women's Gathering nomination for councillors to attend. Have a move on that there, please.
I'm happy to move it.
Thank you. And a seconder? Seconder, I'll second it.
You have to nominate.
We have to nominate them.
Speakers on the attendance, please. We're asking for volunteers.
I'm happy to talk. I actually brought this one forward. I didn't know anything about this, and I was being asked by fellow community members from other rural areas close by, was I attending? And yeah, I think it's important that we do have a representative at these things in our community. This one isn't very expensive. It's $250. To be honest, if council weren't happy to approve it, I would probably pay myself and go anyway. So that's just my thoughts on it.
Okay. Make a comment. I just made a comment a minute ago. I think it's fantastic. But I suppose when Councillor Greenhill comes back with her report, and I can guarantee it'll be probably another pretty good report, which she did before, she'll let us know when the men's one's on.
Oh, yes.
Clown, you mean? Clown one.
Are there any other volunteers to go along to that?
I don't want to go, but I would like to speak if that's okay. And actually, I'm not that comfortable with these segregated conferences either, so I actually find myself agreeing with Councillor Duffy on this, which is a little bit frightening. But anyway, I just think that when you have these things, you're focusing on the differences and not the ability to be actually working together. And sometimes I think we should be focusing more on what we've got in common and what we can do together rather than just doing sort of the girly stuff. But I thought, no, I should look at this and read it, because even though I'm not sort of happy with that, I read the spiel and it says it's an opportunity for rural women to have a direct voice to decision makers. And I thought, well, that sounds all right. And then I read the agenda, and Saturday morning looks all right. But then after lunch, we were off to thoughts and feelings, makeup, menopause, and making paper flowers. And I just couldn't get any further. So, sorry. Not going.
Just for clarity, are you volunteering to go?
I'm not volunteering to go. Absolutely not.
No.
No.
All right, thank you, Councillor.
I need to go because I'm actually trying to organise something else for that weekend. But just would like to respond to a couple of comments. Really, the reason we need these events is because women are underrepresented in every aspect, except usually in childcare, nursing, the lower paid ends of things. So, yes, we have these joint things for all genders, but the beauty of having women-only events is that women meet other women, women support other women learn from other women, and it just becomes this sort of, the word movement, but it becomes this really supportive environment. So, and often women don't necessarily feel like they can speak up because people talk over the top of them. So it's good to be in a room with just women, respect each other without trying to do any power play crap, which is my 2 cents worth.
Mr. Chairman, through you, I'd like to now declare a pecuniary interest. I've been reading through the agenda. I too only got to the first bits because it was around the back there that the major event at the dinner at the Servers is sponsored by Octec Limited. So as the chairman of Octec, I will declare an interest and remove myself from it.
Okay. You're welcome, sir.
Pick up.
Okay, so we have 2 volunteers at this. Only 1 volunteer at this point in time. Okay, well,
Unless Councillor Duffy wants to go.
okay. Right, yes, Councillor.
Yeah, I just want to speak in support of what Councillor McDonald said, and I can appreciate that the women councillors will have different attitudes to things and different ideas about which events they want to attend, but absolutely I can see the place. I mean, this thing about where's the men's conference, we don't bloody need one because most of the conferences most of the time are stacked with blokes. It's as simple as that. So it's important to have events that allow women to, as Councillor McDonald said, work together, support each other, learn and develop. And I want to note as well, we will have our report from the Australian Local Government Association National General Assembly coming, but I am aware that Councillor McDonald, while we were down in Canberra at that event, went up to Parliament House and was a speaker at the launch of the Parliamentary Friends of Women for Election, which is another great cross-party body that has been set up now to work on addressing the underrepresentation of women in elected government at all three levels across the country. Thanks.
Any other speakers?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to, I'll use mine as a matter of rising.
Sorry, what did you do?
So happy to close the debate?
Okay, yep.
Is that okay? Okay. Yeah, look, and it's by no means for me is this about doing the fluffy stuff like the facials and whatever else it is in there. I think we've got to look at what this brings to our community as well, because at a Compassionate Friends function that I hosted in conjunction with Sydney head office, we had people come from as far as Narrabri for that little gathering for bereaved parents. I know some of those women are coming back for this event also. So I think it's more about having a representative from our council there. And I don't care whether it's a male or a female there. I think someone should be there to stand up and represent our council and our community. And at one of these women's gatherings that we attended recently, there was actually a gentleman there that was trying to understand and support women more. So I thought that was a really brave move. He's got a lot more work to do, let me assure you. But it's about that networking, and exactly what Councillor Duffy said, it's about the networking and the contacts that you make in these areas. And it's over those times that you're still talking work. You know, so you're understanding what's going on in Narrabri or Coonamble or Coonabarabran and stuff, and you're bringing it back and applying that knowledge to our area and, you know, getting some insights. So I don't think there's anything, and as I said, I'd be happy to pay myself because it's something I'd love to go to, so.
Okay, we'll put the motion vote. All in favour of Councillor Tammy going on behalf of us? Thank you very much. Agreed. And moved. Thank you very much. Councillor Duffy, did you?
I was going to have a matter of rising to get a report come to council about the hierarchy of the ALGA and the hierarchy of the government in New South Wales, because I think you'll find they're predominantly women. But if these people go away and find some, because I know quite a few of those ladies, and they are very strong people. They voted them because they're women. Got another thing coming. They vote them because they're councillors.
Is there actually a matter of rising, or is it a
no, it's
speech?
yep. We'll just ask Councillor Whitten to rejoin us, please. How's that, sir? You all right?
July evening in Orange.
Beautiful. Cool, thank you very much.
Fascinating.
Yeah, okay, we'll go to page 33, 5.2. Waiving the fees of public amenities, and Councillor Jack Evans.
Happy to move it.
Got a good mate. People at his shop. Thank you very much, and thank you, Councillor Duffy. We'll have a seconder, please. Councillor Floyd. We'll have speaker on this motion, please. Are you speaking?
Oh yeah, just to say that I speak in favour of not wishing to put a $28,000 obstacle in the path of a community infrastructure development. So definitely speaking for it.
Thank you. Any other speakers on the motion?
Yep, I'm absolutely happy to support this motion as well. I think any enhancements we can do to any of our sporting grounds that, can bring people to our town is amazing. I was fortunate enough to attend the under-13s state rugby league on behalf of the mayor when he was away, and it was fantastic. I won't say the amount that was raised in the canteen, but that definitely brought a lot of money to that club to be able to improve things, and anything we can do like this to support any community sporting organisation for our community, I think is a no-brainer. So I'm in full support of this.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Look, I'm speaking in favour of it also. Being a president of the Orange District Football Association, I'm well aware of the challenges different sporting organisations face regarding raising funds for improvements in amenities, things like that. I would encourage full council to support this because provides some wonderful sports up there at Waratahs, and it's highly patronised, and I think any assistance that we can provide to that area up there is only be a positive thing, so I'll be supporting it.
Thank you. Other speakers? Thank you, Councillor Duffy.
As I said, I moved the motion. I'm quite happy to support it. Number one, for two reasons. First one is it's got our young, and as Councillor Greenhouse said, it's an under-13 carnival up there. It's absolutely fantastic. The place was full and everything. But economically, make an impact on the city. If they stay here, they were here for a number of days, and they free shops and all those type of things down there. As I've mentioned before, a number of carnival on in town, a number of them means a difference of $4,000, $5,000 a weekend, which is.
Any other speakers on the motion? Okay, we'll put the motion to a vote. All in favour? Awesome, carried. Thank you very much. Could I ask Councillor Jack Evans to return to the chamber, please? Thank you. Okay, we'll go on to point 6, page 40, with the closed meeting. The Chief Executive Officer, Acting Chief Executive, will now advise the Council if any written submissions have been received relating to any items advertised for consideration by a closed meeting of Orange City Council.
No submissions, Mr Chair.
Thank you. Acting. In accordance with the Local Government Act 1993, the Local Government Act General Regulations 2005, and the opinion of the Chief Executive Officer, the following business is kind or as referenced in the section 10A 2 of the Act and should be dealt with in confidential session of the council meeting closed to the press and public. 6.1 tenders of concrete civil works, and 6.2 tenders of supply of ready-mix concrete classified confidential under provision section 10A 2 of the Local Government Act 1993, which permits the meeting to be closed to the public for business relating to C information that would, if disclosed, confer a commercial advantage on a person with whom the council is conducting or proposed to conduct business. And point 3, submission redaction 4th of July 2023 relating to the section E, information that would, if disclosed, prejudice the maintenance of law. Okay, can I have a mover on that we move into close, please?
Move that way.
Councillor Duffy, thank you, Councillor Winton. All in agreement. Moved and carried. Thank you.